Bridgehead program. As you probably have seen now, if that's okay, we're going to be recording this session. And yes, so the session, as you probably know, is about Bridgehead. So I'm going to be presenting a little bit the program, what are we currently doing, what are the calls, what are we recruiting for, and then we're going to move on to the part where you guys can ask me any question regarding the program. I hope to be able to clarify any gray areas, any unclarities that you might have. So I'm just going to admit more people that are joining. But yeah, let's start. I'm gonna share my screen. Hopefully everybody can see it. It would be great if one of you guys can actually in the chat let us know if you can see my screen and hear me actually. So as you know, in the Zoom chat, there is a chat function. In the Zoom, there is a chat function and you can actually, indeed, awesome. Thank you, Joanne. Nice to see you here. All right, let's start then. Let me make my screen big. I'm continuing admitting people. Thank you for joining. So yes, thank you for joining. We're going to be talking about Bridgehead. So I'm going to be explaining a little bit the program overall. So the Bridgehead program started in 2018, as I'm going to be mentioning later on. Sorry, whoever has the mic on, could you mute yourself? That would be really helpful. Thank you. Then I'm going to be explaining how the program started and how it has been growing throughout these years. So today it's me here, Aina Pascual, working from EIT Health side. But Bridgehead, as it has been growing, we already have a team of 4 ladies, as we call ourselves. We have Anna Werner from Medical Valley side. She takes care mostly of the global side of the program. One of the tracks is Bridgehead Global, which I'll be explaining. Then we have Anna Badurska, which also gives the support overall the tracks, and also Veronica supporting us, giving an overall support also throughout all the tracks. I'll share my contact details later if any of you have further questions after the meeting. So yeah, so Bridgehead is actually the program within the EIT Health Portfolio Accelerator that helps startups internationalize. So it's an internationalization program. It's not aimed to raise capital or you know, market validation or pilot or you know, it's really about opening new markets. So we started in 2018 with Bridgehead Europe. We now have Bridgehead Global. I'll explain the differences. And then this year we're piloting Bridgehead Inbound. And I'll explain a little bit. So as I was saying, we really help and we facilitate these, the scale-ups really scale up, whether that means within Europe, outside Europe, or helping throughout with the inbound track that we're piloting the startups that are, you know, beyond European startups registered outside Europe that want to enter European markets. So we are really, let's say, aiming for more mature startups that are really ready to expand and open new markets. And as you can see throughout the years, we had very good success stories. Just to highlight, for example, Physimed. Physimed is one French startup that participated with us in 2019, if I'm not wrong, in Bridgehead Europe. They opened the German market, which they are established now. And now in 2020, they participated in Bridgehead Global, and they are about to have their first sales in Japan by the end of this month. So we actually had a testimonial from Physimed recently, and gave us this very good news. So as you can see, we have other examples, but this is a quite a relevant one. We have companies that have been acquired, companies that have raised also funding, not as the ultimate goal of this program, but because of the participation in the program, obviously, and entering a new market, a new country, and so on. So how does the program works in a more operational speaking way? So we have the scale-ups, the startups that apply. Once you get selected, what we have is what we call a matchmaking process, which starts with a 2-day event. We're currently doing this virtually online, where you meet what we call our network of vetted catalyzers. These are whether incubators, accelerators, clusters, or alike. So organizations that can offer you the services of for helping you entering new markets. What they do is actually they open their networks also towards what your needs might be, and they help you with different services that I'll be mentioning later on. So just to clarify, we currently have, we talk about 3 tracks within Bridgehead. We have Bridgehead Europe, we have Bridgehead Global, and Bridgehead Europe is about, we want European startups that are based in, one market, let's say. They have their established record sales in one home market, and they want to enter a new European market. And then we have Bridgehead Global on the other side, which is also helping European startups that want to open new markets beyond Europe, so more international markets. And then this year we're piloting what we're calling, naming the Bridgehead Inbound, which is actually kind of like the opposite direction to global. So we want to help startups that are registered outside Europe come into European markets. One of the differences that we can also discuss later, and I'll be explaining more in detail. So for Bridgehead Europe and Bridgehead Global, we give funding, and for Bridgehead Inbound, we don't provide funding. And what we do is that if you're interested in Bridgehead Inbound, so you're registered outside Europe and you want to enter the European markets, we're going to ask for a selection fee if you get selected. That's the opposite of what happens with Bridgehead Europe and Global. But on the flip side, because we don't give you a grant, we're not going to be asking for a contribution upon your success in those new markets that you're going to be entering in Europe if you participate in Bridgehead Inbound. And like if you participate in Bridgehead Europe and Global, we're going to be asking for some contribution upon success that I'll be explaining later. Let's move on to the next slide. All right, so some of the benefits that our scale-ups get through the participation in the program. So we really think that we have a pretty unique process because we have this network of catalyzers. Throughout the matchmaking, you really get to speak to the right people directly. This has been some feedback that we received in the past, that this program really accelerates the penetrating new markets a lot, that if you were to do it on your own, let's say. We have flexibility, and it's very tailor-made, because in this matchmaking, what happens is that you as a scale-up, you're going to be explaining the catalyzers, not only your product, your business model, you're going to be pitching, but you're also going to be explaining what you're looking for, what kind of services, in what capacity these catalyzers can help you out in entering those new markets. So this, one of the services that a lot of these catalyzers provide is actually helps you, they help you navigate these local regulatory and reimbursement systems that, as you know, it's pretty different from one country to another, different markets. And they act as door openers, right? So if they cannot help you because they don't have their in-house knowledge, they do have a local network of stakeholders that can provide those services. So it's very tailor-made. You decide, as well as the catalyzers can decide, if they if you ask for some help and for whatever reason they don't think they can support you, they're going to tell you so, and maybe you can move on or negotiate or talk to another catalyst. So as I was mentioning also for a Bridgehead Europe and Bridgehead Global, we're offering 30K for startups that are selected and participate in Bridgehead Europe, and then 40K for those startups that participate in Bridgehead Global. So here you can see, I'm not going to get into details here because this is very case by case scenario, but these are some of the most popular services, let's say, that our catalyzers can offer. Obviously, access to commercial leads, key opinion leaders, and help you with, getting to talk to the right people. This is where they are very specialized to. And actually, yeah, as I mentioned, like regulatory and reimbursement systems as well. So just to give you a quick overview also, our network of catalyzers have been working throughout the years. We actually check that our organizations that have a track record in accelerating startups in those markets, that they can really and are willing to open doors to our startups that participate in the program, and that they have obviously that knowledge. So as you can see, we try to check that those catalyzers have something to offer to our more in detail. So this would be the current catalyzer for network for Bridgehead Europe. We have several destinations, as you can see. And then I think that Robin or myself can actually provide those slides later on, and you can see more in detail. But for Bridgehead Global, we have either the same or different catalyzers that provide these other destinations outside Europe. When we talk about global catalyzers for Bridgehead Global, we're talking about organizations that are European based, but they have those markets as specialization, and they can tackle and open doors on those markets as well. So as I was mentioning, Bridgehead started in 2018 as a pilot. It's our 4th year of operation. In the first intake of 2021, we already awarded several startups. So in Bridgehead Europe, we had 18. For Bridgehead Global, we had 16. And so for the second intake, which, by the way, I'm going to be mentioning this multiple times, the deadline for application for the second intake, in case you want to participate, guys, is the 14th of September, 23:59 CET. We hope to award that. We say we hope because that always depends upon funding. 10 more startups for Bridgehead Europe, 10 more startups for Global, and we hope to select 5 startups in Bridgehead Inbound, which is a pilot, as I was speaking before. So what are the type of scale-ups that generally make it, and what's the eligibility criteria as well as the selection criteria? So for eligibility criteria, and these are criteria that are mostly targeted for Bridgehead Europe and Global, we're talking about it has to be an SME, so you have to have less than 250 employees. You have to be in the realm of biotech, medtech, digital health industries. You have to be incorporated in an European country. That applies for Bridgehead Europe and Global, not for Inbound, as you can imagine. You have to have a sound plan of internationalization. We're actually going to be asking this in the application, as well as the evaluators are going to be looking into that very carefully. And you have to not prove, but you have to make sure that you have track record in your home market. So we can see that you really have this need of internationalization. So you have to have sales or a paid pilot, okay? That would be the eligibility criteria. And for selection criteria, which is also going to be applicable for Inbound in this case, obviously we want to see that you have team and management capability, not only for the program, but actually like as a company. You have to have a clear need of internationalization and a sound plan. You have to have traction in your home market. You have to be innovative, obviously. We're going to be assessing the impact of the program, how it's going to be helping you out. And then you have to have a sound business model and develop products, which we assume that also if you have traction in your home market, that's pretty much the case. So let's move on. So this would be the journey for the second intake. So as I was saying, you guys can apply whether for inbound, global, or Europe. You can apply until the 14th of September. Midnight. Then what we do with this application, these applications go through eligibility criteria, and those that are eligible move on to evaluation. How we do evaluation, we have 3 external experts, evaluators reviewing each one of the applications, and from their scoring, we finally get what we and according to our funding, we select the startups that we can award and they can participate in the program. Then we have our matchmaking events, which by the way, I have dates here. So for Europe and inbound matchmaking, these are the dates, it's 25th and 26th of October. There's a typo there. And for Europe Global, it's gonna be the 18th and 19th of October. So after those events, you have a period of time where you can negotiate with the catalyzers that you've met and you've been discussing already in the matchmaking. And then there is a period of setting up, as we call it. So basically, we're going to be signing contracts so we can actually release those funds to you in case you participate in Europe and global. If you participate in inbound, we're going to be collecting not the success fee, sorry, the selection fee in case you accept to participate in the program. And then you're going to be also signing contracts with the catalyzers of your choosing, where in those contracts it's just like a regular contract where you are going to be signing off what services are you going to get from this contractual agreement and what you're going to be paying and what are the milestones and deadlines and payment terms and so on with that particular catalyzer. And then from there on, you can collaborate with these catalyzers. You can receive the services that you're going to be covering with the grant. And you have until you have pretty much 12 months once the signature of the contract with us, with the IT Health, is done. So let me get a little bit more into details about the funding terms for Europe and Global. So as I mentioned, if you are selected, if we can award you, if you accept this nomination, we're going to be giving 30K for a participant in Bridgehead Europe and 40K for a participant in Bridgehead Global. Those grants, we make sure that at least 75% of this grant is spent in services that the catalyzers are going to be providing you and that you're going to be agreeing upon. And these, let's say, are the other cost categories where you could incur costs with our grant. Obviously, if you want to bring co-funding, that's completely doable to cover any of these areas or others that you cannot cover with this grant. Once you have signed off, let's say, the agreement, what we call the SGA, you have 12 months to actually run all the activities, and then within the program, and then we're gonna be asking you for some reporting, which is actually mentioned in the next slide. So actually, it's in the other one. For the Europe and Global, we're asking you for a midterm report and a final report. So that would be around 6 months after the first payment that we would do to you, 30K or 40K, so 15K or 20K in each case. And then the final report, you would be explaining how you've used your grant and what you have accomplished throughout the program. So now moving on to I have the screen is the financial obligations for Bridgehead Europe and Global. Because we give you a grant, we would like to receive something back, and for that we ask a success fee. that is, I'll explain now what this means. So it's a 6% on the revenues generated in the new markets that you tackle in Bridgehead Europe or Global. This 6% only applies to new markets that you tackle in the program, and is also capped in time and maximum amount. So we would be asking for a 6% within the 3 years after participating in Bridgehead Europe or Global. And the maximum amount that we will be collecting from you in any case would be 90K for Bridgehead Europe or 120 for Bridgehead Global. This would be, as you can see here, some of the, well, the categories that we consider that are the scope of revenues generated in this new market. We don't want to get anything from your home market. And the financial obligations and costs for the participation in Bridgehead Inbound. If you apply, you're going to go through the evaluation, if you meet the eligibility criteria, and if you're selected and you accept this nomination, we're going to be asking a participation, what we call a selection fee, that is going to be 500 in this case. And then what we say is that because we're not going to be asking for any contribution upon success after you internationalize within Europe, we think that you should be at the very least, at minimum, expect to spend 10K with the catalyzers that you're going to be meeting in a matchmaking event. And there is no cost reporting. We don't ask for a midterm report or a final report because we don't give you a grant. So the timeline for 2021, this is a very rough idea. As you can see, these are the steps that I was mentioning before. So we have the evaluation, we have the matchmaking, we have the application deadline on the 14th of September. Then after the matchmaking process, there is the SGA signature. The SGA is this contract that you sign with EIT Health so we can release the funds. Upon signature, we have the first payment. So if you are part of Bridgehead Europe, we would be releasing 15K. And the rest of the grant, so the other 15K would be triggered and paid after we accept the midterm review or midterm report that we would be asking around June in this case. And then we ask for a final report, and that would be at the end of the projects. All right, I think that's all from me. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. I cannot even see the clock because I am in full screen mode. But I hope this has been interesting. You have my contact details here as well as the website. And I would like to also ask help from Robin to maybe facilitate the second part of the webinar, where we can take questions. And I think I can stop sharing my screen unless I need it for later for answering any questions. So, okay, let me see. Yes, all right, thank you, Robin, here in the background. All right. I can see from the chat, if there is any piece of information I don't get to end of the session, please direct them to, okay. What else? What maybe now you can also unmute yourself, share your camera if you wish so, and we can have a very open conversation among ourselves, and hopefully I can help you out. It's all very clear here. No questions. I doubt everything is very clear.
Well, thank you very much for the presentation, either way, Aina.
Sure. Happy to be here. Hopefully I can answer any questions from the alumni that are here. Yes, the recording. So Maya is asking for the recording. I think, Robin, we can do that, right?
Yeah, sure. We can send the recording and the slides as well in a kind of follow-up email to everybody.
Awesome. So can I just start asking the audience, is there anyone here that is interested in applying after having heard everything that I explained? Is this a program that maybe, you know, you guys think it's for more mature startups and maybe you're not yet there? Is it interesting for you? Anyone interested in actually Bridgehead Inbound? So maybe you're based outside Europe and you would like to enter the European markets?
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you, Aina. And currently not in Europe, and I'm actually looking forward to participate in the inbound. So that was the reason why I sent you a direct message. So I'll be anticipating your response
Oh,
to see. I believe something to recommend. As in, it is something to reckon with because there will be a lot of improvements regarding AMIST looking towards global cooperation, and whereby we can create a link between a relationship gap that has been not in existence. So I believe with this platform we are heading somewhere. We have something to institute whereby it will create a long-lasting impressions and create a very solidified bond between Africa, Europe, and the other parts of the nations. So I look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Victory. I actually saw your message and I didn't see that it's a direct message to me. Yes, please, if you have any question and if you want to apply, obviously you're very much welcome to do so, but please drop me an email if you have any questions. We're going to try to help you out throughout the application process. For Bridgehead Europe and global, because we're talking about applicants that come from Europe, we have our regional innovation hubs that are offices scattered throughout Europe that can help you out in your application. But for inbound, you should definitely reach out to me or the rest of the team. But yeah, no, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. As you can see, you notice that I'm kind of unstable due to poor network connection. And with regards to the email I sent, message I sent you, I would like to have some of the recordings. So in my spare time, I will look into it and then see some of the things I could get from there.
Okay.
And I also appreciate EIT Health. And do you have anything to say?
Sorry.
So I'll be looking forward to that.
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying a little bit. Sorry, you get cut off. I don't know if that happens to the rest of the people here, but I see that you sent your email. I'm gonna share it with Robin, and we can make sure that you receive the slides, and hopefully we can keep on talking.
Yeah, we can send them.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, awesome. Okay. Anyone else? No questions?
Must have been very thorough.
Believe me, I don't, sometimes that's good news, sometimes it's bad news when people don't ask questions. So I'm sure, well, hopefully it's been interesting for the people that have been here, and I'm sure there are more questions on contracting and so on. Maybe if you are interested, we can take also those questions offline after the webinar. So anyone else, any question? Nothing, all clear? All right. I don't know, Robin, what do you think? Do you have any question for me?
No, nothing from my side. I hope it was informative to all the rest of the alumni. I hope that you get some more applications from our side.
Yes, of course. We're always happy to receive applications. You know, at the very least, even if you don't get selected, you get feedback. If you go through an evaluation of external experts, are going to be looking at your application. And if you request feedback, we can give you that feedback that our experts